The Mannin Line with Andy Wint.
Faster my good afternoon. Welcome to Mannin Line on Max Radio. Open line through until 1 today, so call 66 13 68. Text 166 177. WhatsApp, same number. Email studio@manxradio.com. So what do you think of this last night? Last night's S100 qualifying session couldn't start. No space at Noble's Hospital. Just wonder whether anybody thought about that before, the fact that there was going to be a road racing event and there wasn't any space at the hospital because something happened. Any thoughts? Text, email, call, WhatsApp, and lots of other things. We were talking about the development at Ramsey yesterday, and also the assisted dying's been in Keys this morning. We'll get to that later on. And I need your help, by the way, with some photos later on. Howard's first with us today. Hi, Howard.
Hello, Andy. Just nip in early. I was thinking yesterday, but it was after I'd been on, and it crossed my mind when they first drew up the plans for the promenade redevelopment. There was a suggestion that the electric railway, the electric tram cars, would be battery powered. Obviously, they'd have to, because unless they wanted to put up poles in the middle of the tram lines, in between them, to run the electric trams from Derby Castle through to the sea terminal.
Yeah.
That was the suggestion, and use it as a commuter route. So I thought to myself, were those plans ever inaugurated? Were they ever involved in the finishing of the promenade? And if so, they planned to leave, that was the original plan, so to leave a wider space between the two sets of tram lines to accommodate the wider railway carriages going along, and maybe, just maybe, I don't know whether it was, I can't remember now, the poles to carry electric lines.
I wonder whether that was part of that railway report that came out as well, because that's often been mooted, as you say, the fact that the electric, the rails could carry anything really. They're industry standard rails,
yes.
But they could carry the electric railway through to, and that would be a real plus, wouldn't it?
Well, yes and no, because the reason why I say this today, if those tramway lines are further distanced apart between them, then that would move the overall land in use onto what was the roadway then. You have a wider band going down through the centre, which now people are saying they can't get through. Okay, cars are bigger, vans are parked all along there, but I used to drive the coaches along there in the 1970s, and we never had any bother. We could pass the trams, and the coaches were 8 foot. And but if that has been implemented, then that could be part of the problem of people not being able to pass a single horse tram going along. It was also mooted because when the tramway was built originally, it was only a single line. The double line was added later. So it was mooted to go back to a single line with, have to be passing areas. But is that part of the ongoing and forever problem on the promenade that those lines were spaced sufficiently wide to give a route for the electric railway to run along the promenade, and then it was quietly put into the background for the railways, but the plans were never changed back to what they were. So that is going to be an ongoing problem for the rest of the days of the promenade.
You just wonder whether those tram lines, the horse trams, are ever going to get back to the sea terminal.
They will if they go on the back of a lorry. I think they'll be shipping them out again. The way they're working now, and as I said yesterday, it'd be interesting to see if anybody picks up that petition that chap, I think he's from Uncan, that put into Tynwald on Friday. If anybody picks it up. If they don't, then we'll know the attitude of this government, that they do not want to have anything to do with the tramways. And, of course, they're only running 5 days a week now, not the 7. They have 2 days a week off for the trams. The poor horses have got to have a day of rest. But what you just mentioned there about the hospital, there's a serious question to be asked there. Why was there no extra staff brought in, knowing that we have a fortnight racing? There was a helicopter come in last night, late on, one of the SE Rescue, up to the hospital, and it went off from here.
Yeah, I believe that was one of the riders who was taken to Liverpool.
Yeah, taken to Liverpool. Yeah, well, that's fine. There's no thing about that. That's an essential trip, yes. It was at a very low height and a very slow speed. I saw it on the internet. But why was there not sufficient staff brought in? And that person, the spokesman there this morning, he only sounded like a young boy. He's been taken by the ear and shoved in front of a microphone by the sounds of it, and given the answers that's been written on a bit of paper. There doesn't seem to be anybody with any power or authority.
Well, surely this wouldn't have happened during TT.
Well, it's never been. I've not known it. The Southern 100, I've never known that to be shut down. Yeah. The racing shut down because there's no room in the hospital.
Well, you just wonder whether it's the difference between the Southern 100 people running the Southern 100 and the government running the TT, because surely government wouldn't have stood for that.
Well, you don't know what's going on these days. There's a lot of people that are opposing the TT, and we've got another Dandara wanting to build a whole load of houses out at Union Mills and places like that, and this is all the more bullets to fire to get rid of the TT. So be careful what you wish for, because there's nobody come up with the idea or suggestion what to replace the 40-50 million that comes in each year from the people coming to the TT, plus the publicity.
Interesting.
So, they're all wanting to get out their front doors. And as you say, you don't buy a house next to an airport and complain about the noise. So, but it'd be interesting to know if anybody knows about the tramway. Was the plan to put the electric railway from one end of the promenade to the other, incorporate it with the trams? It wasn't doing away with the trams, incorporated with it. And was that plan put on the promenade? Was it used and not going back to a slightly narrower footprint for where the trams would be running?
All right. Well, I'm sure one of our train specialists and tram specialists will be on to us with the answer.
Yeah, I think it was Ian Longworth that suggested it, and it's something that's been suggested a few times before, but somebody with a computer sitting in government said that's a good idea, plonk, and there'd be a red line down through the middle of the Prom.
Well, Mr. Longworth was, he was how can I put it? He was a very passionate advocate for buses and the trams.
Oh, yes. We've got a good fleet of buses here now, which is a bonus. Because I know some of them, when the government would buy them, they were buying the old Atlanteans, and they used to, it was referred to as a hot spanner. They just had a acetylene torch and cut the engines out of them, and they never even got on the boat. They were that wrecked. Okay. They were that old.
All right.
I noticed, I was driving along the Prom the other day, several of what are the zebra crossings on the promenade have now got white bricks replacing the black. It looks like they're breaking up already.
Well, they're certainly varying in size. Some of them are quite lumpy, aren't they?
They are, and some of them are not zebra crossings at all. It's another one of these shared spaces.
Yeah. That's
all right until you have to go to the insurance company. But I noticed there at the end of Howard Street, the zebra crossing there's white blocks being put in where the black blocks must have popped out, broken or otherwise. So that's not long. That's only, 3 years? And it's fallen to pieces.
Yes. All right. Thanks, Howard.
Okay, take care. Bye now.
Thanks for that. It's a message in from Karen while Howard was talking, just saying what springs to mind with the situation regarding the Manx Care and the Southern 100 and also the trams and Douglas Promenade. It seems we have people in power, whether they're elected people or senior civil servants, who seem to know the price of everything and the value of nothing. Derek said, to answer Howard's question, the plans for the prom still aren't finished. Also, the plan to run the trams along the prom to use the new lampposts as the poles to power them. Apparently, the plans aren't finished yet. Got some messages happened last thing yesterday, which I want to get to. It was the Swiss ambassador, apparently, who was ill-informed about the Manx flag. So we haven't had an apology yet from the entire Swiss nation for this. This was the Manx flag that was exhibited at the Euros. Tim Baker, who was then DOI Minister, did say at a PAC meeting, the Public Accounts Committee meeting in 2021, as a temporary measure, de-scoping was the word of the day. Do you remember that? That was cutting back the horse trams. We're de-scoping. Regarding Thursday's subject about the steam packet, I just wanted to say that I've been told by a family member of an employee of the steam packet, the staff and their families do get discount and can pay as little as £25 return with a car, which I find disgusting. Adam's words, considering we pay upwards of £600. Thanks, Adam. I mean, it is well known there's a long tradition of perks, or if you like, terms and condition and benefits for working for the steam packet, and one always used to be discounted travel. Now, how far that extends into the family and how many you can use per year, we don't know. It might be nice if the steam packet actually told us what that was, and then we may get half a dozen opinions of people who claim to know people. More messages coming into Mannin Line today, and there are lots of people who are talking about the development up in Ramsey, exactly what's going to be done there. Apparently, the tram tracks are wider apart. You can see that at Derby Castle, where they connect to the old tracks. So, yes, well, do you think that would be a goer? Would you like to see the electric trams, instead of terminating at Derby Castle, sweeping down the promenade, bowling down all 3 promenades, or 4 promenades, as many as you want, to see exactly what happens to the sea terminal? Would that render the horse trams redundant, or what do you think? I mean, it would be very big for the railway enthusiasts. If events are held which require hospital to bring in more staff due to the possibility of larger numbers of casualty, then the event should contribute to the costs. Surely it's crazy the hospital had to spend nearly £500,000 in extra staff cost, but it doesn't come out of the TT budget, says 653. If you're a Southern 100 fan, what do you think of that? Does this mean now that every time there's a crash at the Southern 100, racing is cancelled? Ridiculous, says Liz. Maybe the Southern 100 Club should sue Manx Care. You got any thoughts? Text, email, call and WhatsApp. To answer Howard's question again, yes, somebody else is saying the plans on the prom aren't yet finished. And there we were thinking that it's all finished on the promenade. Or maybe not. If MHK can spend 7 days debating assisted dying, why no in-depth debate about Manx Care's overspending again and their support for the sick? Says Texter 313G. And Ian said last night's charade regarding the Southern 100 just highlights what a poor job Manx Care are currently doing. I'm afraid the system never seemed to be like this previously. It's obvious Manx Care are failing to provide the basic care needs of the Isle of Man. Surely it's time for radical change. Time to go to Manx Care and say go. A failed experiment, and the old system was never this bad. Says you kind of get the impression that, how can I put it, some of the people who are new to Manx Care didn't realise that we kind of, we rubbed along quite well before Manx Care was ever created. You got any thoughts? Dodsy's with us now. Dodsy.
Hey mate, you alright?
Good, thanks. What's on your mind, Don?
Well, with the Marshall's fiasco, if there is one, I didn't quite catch everything that was said. But you're saying that marshals get discounted travel?
No, I didn't. I said that relatives of the steam packet get discounted travel, but we don't exactly know how far it goes into the family and how much it is.
All right. Yeah, well, what happens with those who want to come to the TT or the MGP to Marshall? They get priority booking only. That's all they get. They don't actually get any discounts or anything like that.
Okay, and that's TT Marshals, is it? Does that apply to the Billawan as well?
I'm not sure if the Billawan gets any incentives as such as those, because I think the TT obviously is a lot more popular than the other events. Don't quote me on that. I mean, the Southern 100 is a very popular tourist event to go to, but I don't think there's as many people that go to the Southern 100 obviously as the TT.
Well, yeah, I mean, by definition, the TT's a fortnight long and the Southern 100's 4 days.
Yeah. But I just wanted to touch on the fact that I wasn't too sure on what was said regarding the discounted travel on
That's
on,
okay.
On
well,
the steam packet.
All right, we know now then.
It would have been nice for the steam packet to give marshals more incentives to come over, but as much as they can give is priority booking. And I think some local TT marshals should be handed more incentives to marshal as well.
Yeah, okay. All right. Dodger, we appreciate that. Thanks for that. Didn't know that, but now we do, that TT marshals get priority booking for coming over. And of course, the TT, well, any motor racing event simply wouldn't happen without marshals. So do you think that would be something we should pursue? Paying marshals? Any thoughts? David's with us now. Hi, David.
Hi, Andy. I'm just looking at planning there. Dr. Taylor was approved to provide a solar array, and it just made me think about there was 2 new people extra in the planning department. They're not on the committee, I believe, in the planning department. Maybe they're taking a different stance now to move things along, because we've got the sewage works in Peel approved, which should have been done donkeys years ago. It should have been done at least 10 years ago. And they need to move on to get the one done in Laxey. And then we are probably home and dry for a few years, aren't we? But my issue is all these percentages should add up to our low carbon footprint and renewable energy. So the likes of Dr. Taylor's, I don't know what sort of powers in the solar array, what he's picking up and shutting back to the grid as such. But if we did that at every public building, every school on the Isle of Man, can you imagine all summer? We could probably get free electricity.
Well, you would think, and also surely somebody somewhere in government thinks this would send out an unequivocal statement of intent. If the government covered every square metre of government buildings with solar panels, they could then, put their chest out, puff their chest out and say, we've done what we can. But at the moment, as they don't, it seems a bit half-hearted.
It does. And it's probably an easy thing to do. It's probably a tick box exercise. And a lot of people are doing it who are companies, individual people. The guy up at Ramsey's got a big solar array. There's one up near B&Q there where the car park was on the shelters. They're all full of PV panels making free electricity. And the last thing, can we send that Swiss ambassador a tea towel with the Isle of Man written on it?
We'll send him a Manx Radio mug and a jar of Manx knobs. How about that?
Yes, and I'll provide the knobs, don't worry.
Thanks for that.
Bye.
Cheers there. 12:25. Last night's fiasco with the Southern 100 shows how out of touch the management at Nobles is. Says texter 753. Andy, it's not the first time that practice or racing couldn't go ahead because the hospital was full. Happens a good few times. This is the only time I can actually remember they've come out and said so, says Paul on 975. People think the very narrow roads on the Prom are part of the war on the motorists. It's just to make things awkward, says 867. You just wonder whether right at the very start the development of the Prom was a traffic calming measure, that they were going to revamp the Prom. We understood the Prom had to be revamped. All the stuff underneath it, nobody got any plans, nobody knew what was where. There were pipes that came from nowhere and went to nowhere. There were pipes that the utilities didn't know were there. Some that they thought were there weren't there, so it's all been done. But surely, if it was going to be a traffic calming measure, it would have been nice for them to tell us. Regarding Noble's Hospital, I think they can only accept 4 accident victims in a day. It's totally unacceptable. It's irrelevant that 2 patients were connected to the Southern 100 if, God forbid, there were a major incident or accident on our island. How on earth would Nobles cope with that? Says Margaret, hoping I never need Nobles urgently. Here's John now. Hi, John.
Hi, Andy. I listened to Wilfie yesterday about the flooding in Ramsey.
Yeah.
Which I completely agree with him. But there's one thing he missed, and I don't know whether Wilfie's old enough to remember it like I do, but at one time, when you went down Gardener's Lane and then you turn right towards what was the tip, on the left, just as you went in there used to be a large oblong lake. Now, that was used for model yachts on a Sunday afternoon. I think there must have been a club in Ramsey, and it was quite an event there. There was quite a lot of really quite sophisticated model yachts and quite large. And it was quite a big area, quite an oblong, and it never drained. It was always full. So I just wondered whether Wilfie remembered that or not, because I don't think many people will remember it now, because eventually the tip extended towards there, and I think the lake was filled in and became part of the tip.
Right.
But
so
I don't think people...
Tell me again, it was down Gardener's Lane?
You go down Gardener's Lane and you come to the White Bridge, the pedestrian bridge. Well, you turn right before you get to the river, and that takes you into the grass area, whatever they call it, what used to be the tip.
Right.
And just on the left, as you entered there was this, as I say, it was a large lake with a path right all the way around it, and it was used a lot by model boat enthusiasts.
And what's there now?
Pardon?
What's there now?
Oh, it's all just grass now. It was filled in, eventually became part of the tip. They filled it in, and it's just, you wouldn't know it had ever been there.
Yeah. What are those buildings in the middle of Poldewey at the moment? There are some kind of official... Are they water buildings? What are they?
Whereabouts is that now?
In the middle of... As you go down Gardener's Lane, turn right at the end. Then there's some kind of official-looking buildings in there with...
I don't know. I haven't been down for a long time. There was a house on the right, and that used to be a bloke called Carl Anderson used to live there.
Right.
Quite a big building. I don't even know if that's still there. But I don't think people realise when you go down Gardener's Lane, when there's a high tide, how high the water comes up that road. And there's a house on the left, quite a big house, and I remember when the area flooded, the complete garden of that was completely flooded. I don't know whether the house was flooded, but certainly the land round it was flooded. I can't even remember. I don't even know now. It's a long time since I went down there, but I don't even know if that house is still there or not.
All right.
But I'd be interested to know if Wilfie remembers the boating lake.
And what's your view on this estate of houses?
Same as Wilfie's. Okay. It's there's so many other places that they want to build houses, but that isn't. I remember when I was very young as a school, that was a lovely area. I did walk down there about 2-3 years ago, and it's completely changed. I mean, in that area, there was actually a small farm, and that was Vondy's farm. And I always remember the cattle and all, and you actually walk through the farmyard out towards the White Bridge, and there were on the left as you went there were a couple of market gardening, vegetable gardens privately, and it was a lovely area. But, well, I must admit, when I went down there the last time, I didn't recognise it, the area.
Yeah. So how far do you go back in Ramsey, John?
Well, I was born in Ramsey, 1936.
Wow. So will you remember? Now, Wilf's mentioned this. Was it true that if you caught a longtail, you could take it to the police station and get money for it?
Oh, I don't know that. I hadn't heard that. No, I don't know. But as I say, I do remember that area well, because where we lived, actually, that was a shortcut. Well, not maybe a shortcut, but instead of riding a push bike up Bowring Road, which was known as the Sandy, it was easier to go through what was known as Puldui, over the White Bridge and up the hill there. It was a much better, easy ride on a push bike, let's put it that way.
All right. Appreciate that, John. Thanks for calling today.
Okay.
Good to hear from you. It's 28 minutes before 1. You've heard Wilf on here talking before about the fact that Wilf used to swim in the river next to the tip, and there were longtails. And apparently, if you caught a longtail and you ended its life humanely and took it, what was it, to the police station, there was a bounty on longtail tails. Oh, you're eating, I'm sorry.
Dreaming of a family adventure? Loganair has you covered with our Kids Fly fare-free offer. Start planning today. Limited time offer, booked by 9th July. T's and C's apply. Children aged 11 and under eligible and must fly with full fare-paying accompanying adults. Book today at loganair.co.uk. Loganair, your journey, our joy.
Quadlock is the strongest and most secure mounting system in the world for integrating your phone, camera or accessories into your outdoor pursuits and for your car, van or motorhome. See the Quadlock display at H&H Motorcycles in South Key, Douglas.
Manx Petroleum isn't just here for motorists, homeowners and businesses. We're here to help good causes too, like the Dan Neen Charitable Fund, supporting the Ledans 24-hour cycle challenge around the Derby circuit on the 3rd and 4th of August. It's time for cycle riders of any ability to test themselves and raise vital funds for great causes island-wide. Enter individually or as a team now at danneen.shop. Supported by Manx Petroleum, here for you.
Calling all beach boys and girls, beach grannies and granddads, beach babies and dogs. The Port Erin Beach Festival is back. Brought to you by Conister Bank. From Friday the 12th to Sunday the 14th of July, come join in the fun for all the family. With sandcastle competitions, beach yoga, beach football, mascot race and the legendary Scruffs Dog Show and motorised tram. There'll be plenty of action on the water too, with junior sailing, paddleboards, aqua bikes and boat trips around the bay. Plus great live music every evening, traders and food stalls and much, much more. The Port Erin Beach Festival, 12th to the 14th of July. Supported by IFGL and your nation station, Manx Radio.
Discover the thrill and passion of motorcycle racing on the Isle of Man with the Journey to a Dream podcast, brought to you by Kawasaki Insurance.
Such an unbelievable thing to do, to get the chance to ride around the mountain course, and they close the roads for you and encourage you to go as fast as you can. The best thing you could ever have.
Here, motorcycle racers share the highs and lows of racing on the legendary mountain course, get an inside look at their motivation, their challenges, and uncover the dream that drives them.
The minute you let that clutch go, your head goes into the zone it needs to be in, and it's going to be the best experience of my life.
Don't miss out. Find the Journey to a Dream podcast on motorsport.manxradio.com or your favourite podcast provider.
The Mannin Line with Andy Wint.
Fred dropped a note in 807. I just drove the full length of Groudle Road in Onken. The state of the road, horrendous. I swear I've compressed my neck and spine after driving along the road. Surely it's time DOI did some serious road reconstruction and resurfacing. Groudle Road in Onken. Brenda's on now. Hi, Brenda.
Yes, hello, Andy. I've just thought of a possible solution. I've been listening to various programs recently and heard what people have been complaining about, and I thought of something that might solve several of those problems, i.e. Summerland site, horse trams, electric trams, statues, traditional cafes. And the idea would be to extend the horse trams along to the sea terminal so that people coming off, for example, cruise ships, could take the horse tram and go along the Prom to what would be a memorial garden to Summerland at the far end. I don't know how feasible any of this would be. And in that memorial garden also there could be statues, and there could be a nice cafe, no benches, proper chairs, and just a sort of coffee and cakes and snacks, not a huge meal or anything like that. And then they could possibly take the electric tram up to Ramsey. And I just thought that I don't know what would be involved in making a Summerland memorial garden on that site, but I just wondered if it might be possible and to add all these other things in at the same time.
Yeah, and also, Brenda, you know these people who come in, and we have about 6 of the cruise liners come a year, they come in and out, and these people are on cruise liners and they go here, there and everywhere, and surely what they want is something novel. They want something that is new and something they've never seen before. So surely that's something we can do. And this is what makes memories, and it's what people talk about when they go back home after a cruise. I went to the Isle of Man. Did you know?
Yes. And I just thought either they could start off with the horse tram or do the horse tram at the end of their tour and do it in reverse. But the idea would be to have a memorial garden to Summerland and possibly put some statues in the garden that we don't have places for at the moment. And also the trees in the garden could be put in large containers so that you wouldn't be waiting years and years for them all to grow.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate that, Brenda. Thanks for calling today.
I'm sure that somebody will come up with criticism, but that was just my idea.
And it is worth every minute you've been on the air. Thanks, Brenda.
Thank you. Bye-bye now.
Good to hear from you. Call 66 13 68. And Viv's on next. Hi, Viv.
Hello, Andy. They were all about Puldui.
Yeah.
Or the gentleman was. The big house that he's talking about, Greenland, is still there. And as far as I know, the ground's still flood, although they've tried very hard to do away with that by putting an embankment along. And the other house, the other side, going down, adjoining the fields, is called Puldui House.
I see.
So both houses are still there. In fact, Puldui House is up for sale, but I have known the people that lived in it.
And what do you think about this proposal for the estate?
I think the estate wants throwing out.
Okay. All right. Thanks for calling today.
Well, it's all a big bog. It always has been. I mean, say, Dandara should never been allowed to build all those houses. The day will come when they're all flooded, and then there'll be an outcry. Why were they allowed to do it? We had this in Solby in the late 80s.
All right.
So,
okay.
You know,
good to hear from you. All right. Thanks, Vivian.
Thanks. Bye.
Good to hear from you. And Eddie's with us now. Hi, Eddie.
Hiya, Andy. All right?
Yeah, good, thanks. Yeah,
good. I was listening before there about, was it somebody mentioning about the long tails?
Yeah.
I think you did get money for them, but I can remember my father and his pals, I'm not too sure about the money, but I do definitely know that rabbits were also considered a nuisance, and you used to get for every rabbit's tail, you used to get 2 410 cartridges or 1 12-bore cartridge. I'm not sure about any other vermin type things.
How long ago was this?
Oh, back in right up until the mid-60s, I think. Yes, there used to be a gun shop at up Broadway, just to the left up Broadway there.
Oh, on Bathurst Street.
I think it was, yeah. And you used to go and collect your free cartridges from there. and then they handed them through to the government. But there was something else, and somebody else might be able to come on. That you used to get money for the long tails, cartridges for rabbits, and there was something else which was considered a nuisance you used to get cartridges for, but it just gone from my memory at the moment.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Eddie.
Okay.
All right, good to hear from you. Thanks for that. French residents' participation in any sport on French soil must have private insurance cover for that sport at any level, says Sam. Is that true? Give me, if you've got any more details, Sam, I'd be interested to know. If the electric railway was to run the length of the Prom, has anybody considered the chaos a fallen overhead wire on the Prom would create amidst 2 lanes of traffic, horse trams and pedestrians, says 073. But it would work most of the time, wouldn't it? Give a shout out, would you, to all the medical team and Orange Army supporting the Southern 100. Fantastic event, fantastic racing. Thanks to all the Southern 100 team. Let's go again, says Debs. Remember, AM 1368 Manx Radio's AM service is currently Southern 100 Radio, with all the action and all the fraternity and the fellowship that goes with it. This is my opinion, if we're allowed one. Surely... Sorry, Gary and Ramsey, if you can, I can't quite make sense of what you've said, Gary. If you just want to write that again and get it through to me, I'd appreciate it. Noble's not having the capacity. If there had been a road accident unrelated to racing, would Manx Care have turned them away, says Mike. Interesting. The Manx flag comment says 428. What an, how can I put this? What an idiot. I'll rephrase that. Visiting Southern 100 marshals get a discount on the ferry. Also, airline staff get staff discounts. Tesco staff get staff discount. Bank staff get staff interest rates. It's common practice, says Ian, for that. Thank you, Ian. Yes, Steam Packet employees have always got discount. They've always had perks where that's concerned, but it would just be interesting to know how far that extends into the family. Is it husbands, wives, sons, daughters, uncles, aunts, mothers, fathers? What is it? Could be any sporting event. What are we doing at the hospital if we have 15,000 more people living here as well, says WhatsApper 747. We could solve the whole issue of the horse trams by fitting them road wheels and tyres. Then we wouldn't need the rails to be extended to the sea terminal, says Paul in Mackle. Could go as far as the steam railway. Road wheels and tyres. Any thoughts on this? Good afternoon. Lots of road closures over the coming days, but with them being weather dependent, you have to contact a Birmingham phone number, apparently, says Tony. Thanks for that. A Birmingham phone number. Is that where the contractors are coming from? Has the large site on Ramsey Quayside been sold? Apparently lots of machines are working on the site in Ramsey this morning. Take a look, Ramsey people. What's happening there? How on earth can Manx Care not deal with 2 casualties regardless of how it occurred? This is a real worry. Here's the man with the answer. Wilf!
Yeah, I fell asleep, Andy, I'm sorry.
Oh, right. So tell me the truth about the long tails and the tails.
Right, the long tails, tuppence on old money for a she, penny for a he. Took them into the police station. Now, the birds' heads for the cartridges, 1 for a rook, 2 for a pigeon, wood pigeon, 3 for a magpie, and 5 cartridges per head for a greyback, which is a hooded crow. Another thing you used to get, I can go back a long way, you used to get 5 bob, 25 pence, if you shot a cormorant if it was on the river.
And where did you?
Then he was catching trout and baby salmon and all the rest of it.
Where did you present this? Where did you present them? To the police?
No, the tails went to the police station. The pigeons' heads and any of the birds' heads that you get cartridges for went to any of the shops that sold cartridges, or any of the now what was it called? Game Society. Anybody that used to run the Game Society, they used to hand the cartridges out give you a permit. And then you went and got the cartridges at the shops where you could buy these things.
When did all this stop?
I don't know. Well, whether you still get cartridges and things or money for the likes of greybacks, hooded crows, anything, I don't know. I don't know if that's still going on or not. But I think it ended, 20, 30 years ago. But the cormorants, you used to take the heads of them to Aiken's Tobacconist, which was where the hardware shop is now in town in Ramsey, because they used to sell fishing tackle and all that sort of thing. And it was, if you got one up the river, it was deemed that it was eating baby trout and salmon and all the rest of it.
So I just want to get you've mentioned this before, Wilf, and I just want to, I've got this image in my head of you swimming in the river next to the tip. And longtails swimming around you.
No, I don't. They wouldn't. They would keep away from you while you were in the river. All the kids used to swim in there, but you go at night with as strong a flashlight as you could find, and anything, a good stick or whatever, and the tip was actually thousands of them on the tip. I remember chasing them over the tip one time. Things stick in your head, and I was chasing them down over the tip, and I slipped on the door, and I fell down in the tip, and they run all over me. But they never bit me. It was all right.
Oh well,
but that's the sort of things we did, Different days, different times.
Right.
We were harder kids then,
All right, well, it's good to hear from you, Will. Thanks for that.
Okay.
Cheers now. 12 minutes before 1. A silent majority of the Manx public are in favour of assisted dying legislation, according to the MHK behind the bill. Ramsey MHK, Dr. Alex Allinson. Well, the Keys spent a 7th day today debating the clauses of Dr. Allinson's proposals. Last week, members rejected a call for a public referendum, despite Aaron Michael MHK, Alfred Cannon, saying there's no public mandate for the assisted dying law. Well, Dr. Allinson was on Manx Radio Breakfast this morning. This is what he had to say.
This bill has got a huge amount of debate. I completely understand that some people are opposed to assisted dying. I recognise that. But actually there's a silent majority on our island that are open to the prospect of providing choice for those people facing an imminent death. We've had lots of amendments, as you say. A lot of those have actually improved the bill, and that's one of the things about a private member's bill. This is not to do with the Isle of Man government. This is very much a bill brought about by individuals, and it's always been the case both here and in the adjacent Isle that it was felt that things like assisted dying should be more parliamentarian rather than government-led, and that's what I've tried to do.
You talked there about that silent majority. When we spoke to the Chief Minister last week about his proposals for a public referendum, one of the things he said was that there is no public mandate for this. If that majority is silent, how do you know that there is that support?
Yes, I mean, again, we have been debating assisted dying for the last 20 years, and I completely understand the Honourable Member for Aaron Michael, Mr Cannon's point of view. What we do know is that significant amounts of people are in favour of assisted dying through 2 recent opinion polls that looked at the island population. Last one was at the end of last year. 1,200 people, 66% were in favour of bringing in assisted dying, and that's been fairly consistent, that sort of support, both here and across the British Isles. What I'm aware of, particularly with the medical profession, is I've been contacted by a lot of doctors in favour of this, but they don't want to put their head above the parapet because it can be seen as a contentious issue. I think once we get the legislation completed, once we normalise this and actually explain what it will look like in terms of final legislation, I think a lot of people who are currently either sitting on the fence or a little bit concerned about how it might come into practice will be reassured.
That's the man behind the bill, Dr. Alex Allinson, long-time GP, Ramsey MHK, the assisted dying bill. You got any thoughts?
Hello, this is Doug Farragher. In conjunction with Manx Radio, I'd like to invite you to join us and learn something about our native Gaelic tongue, the language of man.
Ellen Van in Fuels would like to wish everyone at the Southern 100 races a safe and successful time in this year's event. Ellen Van in Fuels, supporting the friendly races.
Achieve your business goals with Nicola Bowker & Co. Embracing the latest accounting technology, Nicola Bowker will help you to keep your accounts totally up to date with all the information you need at the tip of your fingers. Don't be kept in the dark. Come into the light with Nicola Bowker.
Spectrum Windows. If your house needs a new look and your windows let in rain, keep those cold breezes out and make it look like new again. Spectrum Windows, Spectrum Windows. Quality through and through. Great work guaranteed to you. Spectrum Windows, Spectrum Windows. Spectrum Windows. Feels like home again.
Have you visited Talbot & Son's new home yet? After more than 30 years in Derby Square, we've moved to Snokra Trading Estate with stunning new blind and curtain displays, inspiring ideas and the latest technology for your home, along with the same friendly family-run service and expertise you know and love. Visit talbots.im to find out more and come and see us soon.
Until the 14th of July, you have the chance to win an LG 65-inch TV, courtesy of Waltons. Each week on the Manx Radio Facebook page will be a scrambled footballer's name. All you have to do is identify the person. To enter, tune in each weekday evening to Greatest Hits or Saturday Live, where we will announce a window of opportunity and you will have 5 minutes to text your answer and your full name to 166 177. The winner will be announced on Monday the 15th of July, so keep listening for your chance to win with Waltons and your nation station, Manx Radio.
The Mannin Line with Andy Wint.
8 minutes before 1. Paul's on now. Hi, Paul.
Hello, Andy. Good to talk to you. I'm giving a call because I got, along with, I guess, every household on the island, we got a copy of Ørsted's leaflet about their offshore wind farm.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. I mean, I'm in favour of renewables and everything, but one of the features of it is that they're talking about building a connection to the Isle of Man, which would supply up to 100 megawatts of power when the wind farm's working, which would be enough to meet all the island's needs whenever the wind's blowing. So that's great, but it does mean that if it were to happen, the onshore wind turbines wouldn't be doing anything useful at all. So I guess really my question's a strategic one. It would be really good if we could have some clarity on direction, because it would be a shame if we got neither of these sets of turbines. It would be good if we got one, but if we got both, then it would seem that either the onshore turbines or the connection from the offshore ones would be a waste of money.
And I think it's down to timing, because, I mean, when's the Ørsted one due to come on stream? It's years and years away, isn't it?
2030, just in time for the government's 2030 climate change target.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about this in the past. As you say, if this comes on, if the offshore one comes on stream, and they are going to build another interconnector to complement the one that we've got that goes to Blackpool, then surely we wouldn't need ours.
Yeah. Yeah.
So why do you think this is? Why do you think we're running these two things in parallel?
Well, I mean, I suppose an onshore one makes some sense as a fail-safe in case the offshore one didn't happen. You know, it's something you can keep up your sleeve to say, okay, you know, for whatever reason, Ørsted have decided not to proceed with their scheme, we'll do this one instead. But it's not being presented as a fail-safe. It's being presented as this is the way we want to spend £40 million of your hard-earned money.
And I just wonder, I mean, is there any of our money involved in the Ørsted one, or is it all theirs?
As far as I know, it's an entirely private sector scheme, but it doesn't explain that in the leaflet.
Well, bearing in mind they've got experience in building wind farms and we haven't.
Well, I know who I've got more faith in, yeah.
Yeah, right. Appreciate that, Paul. Thanks for calling.
One small thing, if I may.
Oh, by all means.
The phrase, the silent majority, the guy who really popularised that was Richard Nixon.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I'm afraid I haven't got a lot more faith in Dr. Allinson on this issue than I have on Mr. Nixon.
All right.
Anyway.
Good to hear from you. Thanks for that, Paul. And thanks for bringing that up about Ørsted. It's interesting. Yeah, the Ørsted wind farm, lots and lots of power. So if they're going to do it, why should we do our own? The debacle of the Southern 100 with all the foreign registered bikes here, German bikes and things like that. What message does this send around the world? Because with people who've got smartphones, that message, take it from me, will have gone around the world straight away. The Isle of Man can't cope with road race casualties. That's the message that will have gone round the world in seconds last night. So what do we do about that? Whose fault's that? Is that Manx Care? Or who is it? A wind turbine's appeared in Andros. I spotted it across the fields a few days ago. It's off Loudest Road, says Renee. Is that right? Send us a photo. Government added 2% healthcare stealth tax, says WhatsApper 888 earlier this year. If the hospital is struggling so much, where did the money go? Thanks also to, if you put road wheels on a horse tram, then it will just be a horse cart. The farm that you were talking about was Ballacrint Farm, and the allotment fields, which are now overgrown scrubland, is where the proposed new builds are located. Mike also knows about the bounties on the tails. Is that true? That was something else, wasn't it? Thanks also to... somebody mentioned, is it true about the new Bergerac in Jersey? Yes, it is absolutely true. What's happening? Bergerac's making an epic comeback after more than 30 years off the air. A new cast, UK TV's drama channel, are rebooting Bergerac. Do you remember Jim Bergerac in Jersey? The Bureau des Étrangers. UK TV unveiled a reimagined lineup. Damien Maloney, who was in Brassic and Derry Girls, is going to star as Jim Bergerac. Also new in the cast, Zoe Wanamaker and Philip Glenister as well. Remember, he was in Life on Mars. So there we are. Bergerac will be back on television, popularising the island of Jersey. At the moment, we're still at the planning stage on the Isle of Man. Whatever happened to the Film Commission? That's it. Thanks for Chris Quirk on the phone today. Back with another open line tomorrow. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday.